This video personifies one of the things that I like about the internets. Anybody want to tell me why? Because this is a video response to a video response to a video response to a video response. Yeah. Shall not be infringed. And how I can how I can roughshot my neighbors and have a bit of a jocular relationship with them and be able to freely talk with them all. And I don't we're not necessarily the Kentucky Hills per se, but your video got me thinking about something. uh, the American experience, it's wild how different it can be in such a different location. And it is what it is. It's all America too. You can take some dude up in my friend from Indiana. Well, he moved down here a long time ago, but his dad worked in a steel mill, and it's like about the unions, and you know, for those people, it's like getting a union card, and it's a lot closer to a socialist type thing than what we're saying. Now, when I say socialist, I ain't talking about like the commie thing that we're usually talking about. So I got to be careful. You got to be careful what you say on here. Apparently, everything seems to stand on its own. But now the the whole people like me, commenters and stuff, thinking that I'm ignorant to how the world works. I am not necessarily ignorant to how the world works. I'm not damn near 40, but I'm halfway, 35 years old. If you don't notice a couple things here and there, having lived in a city for a while and oh, I don't know how to say this. It's funny, but I don't know. People can go ahead and think what they want to think. It doesn't necessarily change me now, does it? And I appreciate what you said in response to what I said about the comments with the whole people like Lambdog thing. That's really cool, man. The way I took it, anyway. Um, because I know we've been talking back and forth on here for a while, and you got an idea about what makes me tick, and kind of what happens when somebody comments to someone that knows you. Like I don't know, Corey's a pretty good example. Like people rag on me on Corey's videos sometimes. Like if he gets close to that, and all you do for anybody that's watching this video that does stuff like that, whenever you talk about a person that somebody else knows about, it just sort of it ends up exposing you. It doesn't make you look any better. You know, it's like I don't have no Southern Prepper One storm bunker, but that's just not how I get down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm cool with that. I'm really cool with that. I made my peace with it. But that's not the topic. The topic is our differences here. Um, Mike, you talked about you had the body shop going on in the neighborhood. Then the guy comes in, the real estate guy comes in, sells the neighborhood on the idea of property value and buying it up, and and he basically knocks the slats out of your dad and out of the whole neighborhood, turns it on its ear just for his own profit. Because I bet the other neighbors, they didn't get to share any of that. That the one guy was able to do things just right. It's systems like that, and the way that the lawyering system works, and the people that sue, things like that. It's wild, dude. And I understand how it can happen, and I understand that it does happen. Um, Okay, let me tell you a story because you told you told your story, and let me explain the difference here. Um, my dad, I'm just gonna say he's a great man, and he is a gentleman in the, oh, I don't know how you put it, in the definition of the word, like not as a like, oh, he's such a, ladies and gentlemen, I have some, no, like he's an American gentleman. Uh, and he's also one of those people that, in a way, uh, personifies the American dream. Have I used that word yet in this video? But anyway, he, his dad, my grandpa, a World War II vet, was a disabled truck driver. He hurt his back. Oh man, in the '60s, and then it got operated on, and he barely had use of his legs for his entire life, and he lived off of a like a Teamsters disability pension type thing. And my dad started out as an automobile mechanic, um, and then got into a growing industry in the late '70s when you could still get into it on just a high school degree and your own wits, and just really, really maxed out where he was in life. And he's still alive. I'd say he just retired just recently at 55, no less. He retired at 55, um, just like he said he was going to. When I was growing up, though, no matter what it was, it seemed like he was always helping somebody. We always had a neighbor over at our house, and to have their take a look at my car, help me out on the house. It's like when I was growing up, it seemed like my dad never said no to anyone, and I didn't. When I was younger, I didn't understand that. Um, I never understood it. All I knew was that my dad didn't seem to have time for me. Now that was me being a youngster. That was me not understanding what my dad was doing. You know, um, and honestly, it was only recent that I understood the value of that. Now my dad he lives in an area where he pretty much owns the most property in the area, if that makes sense. It's not like a ton of property, but imagine like in your neighborhood, like houses are all on quarter lots, and then all of a sudden you have like a couple of houses that are on an acre, and then there's a house on 5 acres. The house on 5 acres will be like what my dad has going on. Like that, all that bluegrass stuff and everything. I mean, that was on his property. That was like in his yard at the end of this whole neighborhood that you have to get through to get there. And it's on the edge of the city, and not really a city, but a town. But I think you know what I'm going with this. There were, oh man, like 120 people at that retirement party. And I was at this party, and I knew all these people, and they're all there, and as these people are going up to my dad and congratulating them, and you know seeing me and giving me a hug, and uh, I'm thinking about how my dad individually had um, touched these lives, and it was such a difference. And at the time I thought, that, well, it just she's been using them, and I don't know what I'm saying here. I think I'm like halfway to being like, I gotta go, my daddy. Um, I don't know anybody who doesn't like my dad. I don't. Um, the other day, this was a while ago. I told the story about the rattlesnake, and like right there in the neighborhood, there's this rattlesnake across the road, and there's a bunch of kids that play out there. You know, all the neighbors have kids and stuff. And I'm on my dad's property, and it's in. You can't like hide on the property in like the front as you're driving up to the house. But there's this rattlesnake, so I get out of my trunk. I call my dad. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, you got a rattlesnake across your road?" He's like, "Hey, you got a gun with you?" I'm like, "Does a froggy bump his ass when he jumps?" "Yeah, I got a gun with me." He's like, "Okay, well, I won't bother opening the safe then. You're gonna take care of it?" I'm like, "Okay." So I get out and blammo, and then blammo again, like two shots. Nobody calls the cop. Two gunshots go off in a neighborhood. Nobody calls the cops. The neighbors come out. They walk up. "Hey, Ronnie, what'd you have?" "A rattlesnake." Like, "Oh, man. I saw that one the other day. I was so worried about my kids." They're like, "What'd you use?" I'm like, "A gun." I'm like, "Oh," and one guy looked, "Oh, you must use a 357 Magnum." I'm like, "No, you know what? I actually used the 9 millimeters." Like, 9 millimeter did that? I'm like, "Yeah, 9 millimeter did that. Get these bullets." So, in contrast, you know what? You you have an open invitation. You come down here one time, we'll hang out. I will show you. I will show you the America. there's this uh, there's this other place, and we're close to the water too. I know you see it from the pictures. Now, I'm not talking about down there in St. Pete, you know, but there's this other place. I can take you to a place where like if you pick something up, you wouldn't have to worry about somebody looking at your boat. uh, I think you know where I'm going with this, but it's interesting how that sort of thing shapes us. Now, there are all kinds of people that live here too, and I'm not so naive as to not understand that. You know, you go to a city and things are different, and there are times when the things I get used to having I don't have. Like when I went up to Georgia, for example, and you know the concealed carry permit from Florida holds sway in Georgia as well, right? But where Florida has a concealed weapons permit, and I also usually carry a knife that's not legal in other states. Georgia, for example, doesn't allow that. So even though the firearm was good to go, you know, I'm not so ignorant to think, oh, big old hillbilly with his knife, you know. So I don't know. I don't think. Hopefully, my point is made. I mean, we're it's kind of close to me because and I think the reason why I was thinking about the whole rights thing lately is we're looking at leasing some property next year, maybe for hunting purposes, and the area that I'm looking to lease now. This is going to make people despise me, but we're trying to get into it with a few different guys. But we're looking at leasing almost 300 acres for hunting and multiple use. And I'm like thinking about all the things like when you have 300 acres of private property, the differences between when you're on your 300 acres of private property down here. I'm not saying that would necessarily go in Massachusetts. You know, I could inside of 300 acres, I could shoot a rifle 1,000 yards if I wanted to. You know, if the area were right, um, I could walk around with a firearm on my hip openly, and so it kind of got me thinking about where the rights rest and the differences. But it kind of too, man. I think it comes down to space. Um, it's like the end all. end all be all. Like if you were in even in Mass, if you had 100 acres in Massachusetts, I mean, how different would your behavior get to be versus when you're side by side with a whole bunch of people? It really changes the dynamic. Um, Sorry about that. The timer actually went off because the video went to 15 minutes. um, the but the dynamic when you're so close and those liberties begin to overlap. Because imagine like a person has a sphere around them, like a circle, and it goes with you everywhere you go. And it's your sphere of rights, okay? And it's a circle, it's a perfect circle around your body. And within those rights you can do whatever. You can breathe, you can eat, you can speak whatever words, you can make sounds come out of your mouth, you can blink your eyes when you want to blink them. You can give the finger, give the arm, whatever, give them the wrong finger, I don't know. The more people you get, now you got like, and now it's like the Olympics, like the little circles all overlap, and things get messed up. And then crimes occur. So somebody with maybe good intentions puts a little something down to try to help with something like that, or try to help keep criminals off the street, or, I mean, honestly, try to keep us safe. And then in the middle of that, people that use that opportunity just to boss somebody around. Because we talk about that neighbor that doesn't like basketball hoops on the side of the road because they think they look trashy or they don't like basketball. Man, I'll show you my street. We got basketball hoops up and down. After watching that basketball hoop thing, I damn near put up a basketball hoop that I wasn't even planning on playing basketball on just to play it. Down here, you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but down here, there's been instances where a resident of the county was accused of something else in another county, and when that other county sheriff came here to get that guy, this county sheriff stopped that sheriff and said, no, you just wait a damn minute. You're not going in that person's house. You're not doing whatever it is that you think you're going to be doing. And I know what you may be maybe you're thinking right now, what about federal? I've seen them do the crap with the federal people. It's weird, almost surreal to think, but I don't know. But it shapes the way that you see possibilities. When you do see examples of abuses occurring and freedoms and whatever, and then you see something where it's like, let me give you another example. We had this event. It was like a public event, and this guy was preaching like, oh, you need Jesus to save, and da 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 da, right? And a deputy sheriff walked up to him, and he says, no, you can't do that. Get down here. Get over there. You're under arrest. And another person there said, no, you can't do that. And the deputy looked at him. He says, you shut up, or you're going to be under arrest too. And then after that, like another deputy came up. He's like, dude, you can't do this. What are you crazy? You need to stop. Now I know you may be thinking, oh, see, that's an evidence of what can be. Yeah, but it's a possibility of that other deputy saying, no, you can't. No. And the possibility of another citizen, maybe he was a Christian, maybe he wasn't, that stood up in there right then and there and said, no, you can't do that. Maybe it was a person like Lambdog that did something like that, huh? Maybe it was that sheep Lambdog, a guy just like that. when a dude was getting ready to be cuffed and stuffed. Got a little crowd participation going on. No, you can't do that, man. Look him dead in the eye. Dead in the eye. Maybe it doesn't change anything. Yeah, maybe it doesn't change anything. But when you go down on the city council thing and you stare that city manager eye to eye and you look him in the face and you tell him what you think, it makes a hell of a lot more difference to me. To me. It makes a big difference to me than just going like, oh, look at what they're doing. Oh, I can't believe what they're doing next. To find the dude that wrote that crap down with his pen, look him dead in his eye, and said, you are on crack, man. You are on crack. No. End of sermon.